Yo, what's good? In this video I want to show you a complete roadmap for learning JavaScript, and this is for you if you're a complete beginner, and if you have some experience with JavaScript and you are struggling with JavaScript. I want to show you the roadmap that I'm using for my students. So this is more like theory, how you should approach it, in my opinion. And this is not complete. I'm not gonna show you, like, I'm not gonna give you the actual document, but I'm just gonna show you how I think about it. And then you can either do it on your own if you can, or you can join my program and then you'll have access to all this stuff. So this is supposed to come in with my video course, right? There will be like a tandem between them. And I spend the entire day literally rethinking the entire process. How would I take a complete beginner from zero knowledge of JavaScript to being proficient as fast as possible? And this is what I came up with. So I'm still working on it, by the way. It's still work in progress, but I just want to show you how I think about it, so you can, as I said, create your own stuff, figure it out and whatnot. I personally did it, how can I say, from scratch, by actually dealing with a bunch of people over the past few years. So I know exactly every single problem that you might have, every single issue, every single bottleneck, every single roadblock that you might have. I've seen it all. And this is built in such a way where you will have the smoothest, learning experience as possible. So this is very unconventional. And the first few chapters that I've made here, they've been rated either 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 by ChatGPT. Even ChatGPT told me like, hey, this is amazing. So that's pretty good. But let me show you how I think about it, right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chapters, right? These are the most important ones, and I always mention them in my YouTube videos, right? Variables, data types, functions, control flow, and loops, right? So if I start with variables, I describe what a variable is, etc., etc. I give examples like potential errors, potential issues that you might have. Then we go into naming conventions, right? Here I'm showing you like what is the best way to name your variables, etc., etc. I give you examples, what you should be doing, how you should be writing your variables, what works, what doesn't. Then we have some exercises, right? And straight away today I've actually tested this couple of pages that I've just made. And what I really like to do is I'm trying to find examples from the real world whenever I talk about some programming concept, because I find that most people that make courses, they are just teachers and they've never actually taught people, right? So I'm the opposite, right? So I'm like, okay, I am teaching people, I know how people work, and I'm bringing the real world into the programming world. So for example, here I have an example for a variable, fizzy drink equals Coca-Cola, right? And here I have an interesting exercise where I'm actually asking you to create 20 variables with 20 objects that you see around you, right? And here is a student of mine that actually completed this exercise, and then I'm reviewing it, okay? I'm doing code reviews pretty much every day, and this is how my students learn really, really quick, okay? So once you're done with the exercises, you go back to the data types. And now, not back to, but as you can see, this is the variables section. Then we go to the data types, and here we start with the primitives, right? We talk about the primitives, the strings, the numbers, and for example, the strings concept is quite difficult, and it has a lot more meat to it. So then we go into it, right? We learn about strings, what they are, etc., etc. I show you real examples of when to use, for example, interpolation and stuff like that. And then we go back to the primitives, and then we continue with the numbers, right? So we learn some basic info about strings, we deep dive into it, and then my app Notion takes you straight to the next number, right? So we learn about numbers, then we deep dive into the numbers. I'm showing you some examples of where numbers are being used on YouTube, on Instagram. I'm showing you some type of math that you can do with numbers. Then I'm going to the math object, and we are talking about the random method, etc., etc. I'm showing you, like, again, more examples so you can get a better understanding. And again, this will come with a video course, not just this. And then in the video course, you'll actually get everything, the meat and the potatoes of this. And then we go back to the primitives, learn about undefined, null, what is the difference between them, booleans, etc., etc. Then we go to objects, and here is where I left off, and I'm going to continue tomorrow. But then from objects, as you can see, we are going to go to functions. We're going to learn what functions are. Then we're going to go into control flow, learning about if-else statements, comparisons, equality, all that stuff. Then we go into arrays. We learn what arrays are. So I'm separating them, right? Objects are this, arrays are this. And I'm not making them one after the other like most programming courses, because I don't see the need for it. Because again, I do this from experience, not from like some MIT curriculum that is made to be like a cookie cutter thing, right? Then we are learning about arrays, and then the next logical step after that is to learn about loops, right? So this is where like the knowledge or the steps that you need to take to become a good programmer in JavaScript pretty much ends, okay? And after that, what you do is you start applying the knowledge, right? Because you need to learn about the DOM and etc., etc. You need to like keep adding stuff to this concept. So the problem that most people have is that they are not really good at the fundamental things, like what is a variable, what is a number, what is a string, etc., etc. They don't know, they're not good enough with the syntax, and they try to build stuff and then they get stuck, right? This is the actual opposite. You are very good at the basics, then you start building stuff from, you know, day 20, something like that, and then you just build and build and build and build and build, and you just get good. You get so good that people cannot ignore it, right? And this is where that roadmap that I have comes into place, right? So I teach HTML and CSS in one way, the beginning of JavaScript in one way, the middle part of JavaScript in another way, the advanced JavaScript in one way, the beginning of React in one way. So I have like a different methodology for every part of this zero to hero roadmap, because it's different. You cannot use the same method, you know, to approach learning in these different areas. And this is kind of where I see people struggle the most. They have the same approach, which is let's just hammer down as much knowledge as possible. Let's just study and cram as much stuff as we can, because that's how we learn. Or we just watch a bunch of tutorials, a bunch of videos, a bunch of, you know, reading books, blog posts, tweets, I don't know, Instagram reels. And I'm like, guys, you are just wasting your time. Imagine this, like instead of spending 2-3 years learning code and getting nowhere, you could just have a systematic approach towards learning every single thing. You apply it, and then you just get hired. This is extremely simple, not easy, but simple. But most people, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. And I remember, I think it took me like 3 months to understand what a function is. Imagine that. It took me 3 months. I remember I was feeling like an idiot, and I was ashamed to tell my mom, like, hey, I might not become a programmer. I was feeling bad to tell her that. But in fact, it wasn't because I was dumb, right? And if you have issues learning code and learning JavaScript, and if you have issues, like if you really struggle and you cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you don't feel like you can become a programmer in the next 6 months or so, it's because you are using the wrong strategy, like I used to, right? If you feel like frustrated, if you feel like you are not learning anything, even though you are putting a lot of time and effort into learning code, it's not because you are dumb. It's not because you're not putting enough effort into it. It's because you are doing the wrong things. It's as simple as that. I've noticed that if you really want to be successful at learning like JavaScript, React, the entire ecosystem around frontend, and then later getting into full stack, maybe getting into cloud computing, like for example Megan that just got hired a couple of months ago, you need to have a roadmap, like a clear roadmap of what you have to do. So the only thing that you do once you get home after work, because you're a busy guy or girl, it's just to do stuff, right? You don't have time to do useless research. At least in my opinion, right? I would rather have you spend time with your kids or watch some Netflix if you want to, instead of like banging your head against the wall because you don't know what the roadmap is, right? It's up to you. It's really up to you. If you want an efficient way, right? I'm pitching my stuff, of course. If you want an efficient way to go from zero or from whatever level you are to hired in the shortest amount of time possible, at your own pace, with your own schedule, you don't have to quit your job, you can apply for a free consultation call, okay? So this is for someone that is a complete noob, so you have no idea what programming is, or if you have some experience but you are stuck, you've been doing some zero to mastery or Code Academy and then you are just filling in the blanks, with what they're telling you, or you're doing free code camp and you feel like everything is so robotic, or you're stuck in some weird Discord group with all these brokies that have no idea what they're doing and they have a bunch of time to waste. Or if you are so advanced, you finish a bootcamp but you've been applying for the past 2 years and you are still not a developer, then I can help you. And to see if I can help you, apply for a free consultation call. The link for that is in the description of this video, and I'm going to show you how to implement all this stuff, like really understanding it. And if you decide to join the program, I'm not going to offer you to be part of my program if I feel like I don't help you. I cannot help you, right? If you decide to join and if you don't like it, I'm going to let you go, full refund, goodbye. But you have to try, right? And sorry for the weird setup, but I'm not at home. I'm in Romania. I'm in the mountains over here, and I'm here to re-record my program. And I needed some time off, spent some time in Amsterdam last week. I spent some time in Dubai. I needed a break from all these travels, a holiday for my holidays. So if you also want to be in the same position, bro, you can do it. You just need to have the right skills. You need to be good at them. And then you can also travel. You can also have a very good lifestyle. You just need to have the skills, right? Skills pay the bills. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Bye.